What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're going to be doing things a little differently. I know a couple of weeks ago I posted my preliminary future Gohan build, and I thank you guys for supporting it, but with all due respect to myself and all of those who have attempted or are attempting to make future Gohan great, that list was trash. I tried to be cute, I tried to cut corners, and I can honestly say testing on Untap is not the same as getting real life reps. So I'm just going to preface this video by saying, take that list that I posted a couple weeks ago and completely throw it out the window. Sometimes you can't cut corners. Sometimes you just have to do things a certain way. Think of it as a linear path of travel. But if you want good results, you have to play good cards. So today I feel a little more confident with this list that I'm sharing with you. I've tested it in real life. Yes, I've tested it on Untap as well. But I feel like it's kind of right around where I want it. Of course, until the expansions come out. Now, interesting thing about Future Gohan, I feel like he's in a state of limbo. I feel like the Trunks package is really, really good. I think the leader is solid. I quite slept on and underrated, but you know, when Mecha Frieza exists, that's what you can expect. But I think he does things pretty well. Like, the alternative awakening condition is good. At worst case scenario, when you're at 4, it's an untap 1, draw 1. And Yellow has just gotten a lot of new shiny toys with set 13. So I feel like you're in a state of limbo because you kind of want to play a certain amount of cards, but then you can kind of squeeze in whatever secondary engine that you want. I know that the Slug engine has had success. I know that the Universe 9 engine has had success. But I kind of wanted to stray away from that and just build a more pure list, if you will. Granted, take this with a grain of salt. As soon as the Spirit Boost expansions come out, this list is going to change. I also think the deck itself is going to change a little bit, but we'll get into that towards the end of the profile. Not much has changed, just a couple of different things I'm going to highlight here on the screen. We've upped the count of secret identity from 1 to 2. I think the ability to secret identity twice in one game is not going to happen too often, but because his alternative awakening condition does burst you 3, you could kind of turn secret identity on really early, and if you end up bursting one off of the awaken, you do have that second copy that you can dig for later on if you really need to resolve it. We're still playing one Hidden East Supreme Kai. I think every deck should have either Kai or Champa. I'm just playing Kai because of the shininess from the foils. Poutine is a stalwart. She's just a really good card. It kind of forces your opponent to play around it. We're not playing Bergamo in this list because I don't think that the whole... I'm not saying Bergamo's not a good card. I think Bergamo's a great card, but I don't think the whole, resting cards strategy is going to be where you want to go with this deck moving forward. That's just my opinion. If you want to play a good yellow stuff list, then obviously you want to include Bergamo in here, but Poutine still does have, her advantages, being able to just have your opponent play differently. It might go in your favor. Son Goku the Annihilator, the SS4 Goku that we have there. This card I actually came across by accident. I was just looking for something to do turn 3 because the deck does curve out quite nicely. You have your turn 1 play, you have your turn 2 play. You don't really do anything on turn 3 because your boss monster can't come out until turn 4. So you have to figure out something to do on turn 3. So you can either underdrop or you can go ahead and tap out. This deck is one of those decks where I'm okay with tapping out just because of how tanky and how defensive it is. Tapping out turn 3 for Son Goku the Annihilator is not that bad because of what he does and his utility. So he's a 3-drop 20k deflect and barrier, and he's also unique. So you can only control one of him. But basically what he does is when your opponent wants to activate an extra card, they have to tap an energy. So whether it's a negate or an activate main or whatever, they have to pay one more. Now against Mecha Frieza does mitigate that by being able to play extra cards by taking life, but you're now making them have to pay one for something that essentially was free. So if you look at U9 Assemble, if you're playing Mecha Frieza and you look at U9 Assemble, U9 Assemble for them normally is just take a life, pay 1, draw 2, do what you got to do. If you have this card out, this Son Goku out, they still have to pay that extra energy for it now. So it's a wash. They essentially have to tap 2 energy for it, because it gets around the cost. It doesn't get around the cost of the card, but it's the skill of the battle card that's forcing your opponent to tap an extra energy. So it's just something cute. Obviously, it's a nice setup play if you can get your Annihilator out on turn 3 and then get your big Trunks out on turn 4, because they're going to want to negate that attack anyway because he's so huge. So if you can force them to tap extra energy for defense, it might put you in a good spot. Like if, for example, if they want to go ahead and, if you go ahead and you play Trunks on 4 or 5 even, and you have 3 energy open, you can for Cooler, you're forcing them to use an extra energy for that defensive negate just to get Swift Retaliation. So it's just one of those things where it's like the game within the game. You kind of want to put yourself in a better spot, and I like it at 2. I don't think he's going to stay, but for right now, it's just one of those cards that I wanted to include because I felt like I needed to do something with my energy on 3. I completely took out Zamasu's and Krillin's for super combos, and we're going with Counterblast Son Gohan. This card has just done so much for me lately. It's a standard when your life is at 4 or less 10k draw, but it has the added effect of if it's your turn and you combo with this card, if you're at 4 or less, you can KO one of your opponent's battle cards that's 5 or less in rest mode, which is huge. Yellow has always had an issue with spot removal and just being able to use your super combo. Yeah, you don't get the draw, but if you're clearing off a problem card on the board and saving your big attackers to push aggressively for damage towards your opponent leaders, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, in my opinion. On top of that, it's also searchable off of your 1-drop Trunks. Zarbon, the Emperor's Attendant. This card is the hot spice. It got reprinted in Evolution Booster, so it's so easy to get your hands on. But just this deck is just so tanky with how many blockers you have. Yes, your leader does restand your blockers once per turn, but being able to just Zarbon out of everything and make your opponent have to swing at a 26 or a 36k wall, it's going to get frustrating at some point. Not to mention your secret rare of choice is a blocker. Sin Shenron is a blocker, so after you've resolved this effect X amount of times, you need to sneak that extra block in there. You can go ahead and Zarbon out, or you can go ahead and use your Zarbons for your Bardock Might of Resistance. There's just a lot of different utility for it, and I really do like this card. I think if you're attempting to play this deck, I think you should consider, some Zarbons in here, just because it's going to help you kind of get to that next turn, which is what you really want. 1 Divine Transformation Frieza. I kind of treat this card as like my secret rare Jace, or like my alternative win con. If I don't win with Trunks and I get to 5 energy, I slap this boy down on the field. He wipes everything from the board in rest mode. It's another way for board clearing in yellow. Also, if your opponent activates a counter, you get to choose 2 of their cards and freeze them, like put them in rest mode and freeze them. So it's just another way of playing with your opponent's energy and making them think twice about what they want to do defensively. Not to mention, he's a 25k deflect with double strike, so he's going to hit the board, and at the end of the turn you play him, he does restand, and he is a blocker as well. So you can kind of see we're playing a good amount of blockers where Zarbon's really not going to be dead. Zarbon's a free 5k combo. You might as well include it, and it's just one of those things that I've been testing. The 2-drop Gohan, that's standard. You got your Trunks package. I did go up from 3 to 4 on the 8-drop Trunks. I just feel like you want to see him. You definitely want to see him as not as soon as possible, but you 100% want to have him for your turn 4 play. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Like, this deck doesn't draw a lot. It does search a lot. It does play a lot of stuff from deck, but if your chains get interrupted, it does become a little tricky. So you want to be able to see your boss monster as soon as possible, and I feel like I wasn't seeing him enough at 3, so I upped him to 4, and it's been a lot better. You have your standard package there. The 1-drop unique Trunks, I think, is a very interesting card. Moving forward, I'm not sure how much utility you're going to actually get out of him. He works really well in combination with your your 2-drop Gohan. But moving forward, you know, when the expansions come out, I'm not exactly sure where these guys are gonna you know, fall on the chopping block. But for now, he's really good. Obviously, I'm only playing 3 because he's unique, and you primarily want to get him out of the deck. You don't really want to open him or draw him because he does nothing for you. He is really good energy if you want to charge, but getting him out of the deck is very beneficial. So, Power of the Super Saiyan. Obviously, I did a video a couple weeks ago apologizing to Power of the Super Saiyan, calling it a trap card. But basically, this card is insane. It just gets you the draw power that you need. It allows you to just kind of pick and choose what your opponent is going to do defensively with their battle cards. If they have problem cards on their board that you can tap down with Power of Super Saiyan, you could then run them over. You guys have to remember, your 3-drop Trunks is going to be a 25k attacker, and your boss monster is going to be a 35k attacker that can swing twice. So anything that you put in rest mode that they're going to have to combo up to save, you're winning the battle of attrition because they're wasting cards to save a battle card, and then you can just avert your offense towards their leader, and now the cards that they've burned to save their battle card, they won't have to be able to combo up on a leader. So just, you know, again, the game within the game, you want to be able to have answers for certain things. The +1 is really nice, or the even is really nice, you know, drawing a card, seeing something new. And also the built-in negate, you know, it's still a 1-drop yellow counter attack at worst, you know, so it's a really, really good card, and you can use it on both players' turns. I can't stress how important that is, because you can draw a card on your turn offensively, you can draw a card on your opponent's turn defensively, and it rests unisons. So anything that's dual attack, anything that's a blocker, you know, now we have this new Majin Buu unison blocker. We have obviously Vegeta Unison of Fury, that's a dual attacker. You can rest it. Don't have to worry about it. It's a phenomenal card. We're still at 2 Nimbus. I think Nimbus is just really good. If you have Mecha Frieza Riposte or whatever his name is, you probably play those instead of Nimbus, but I don't have them, so I'm playing 2 Nimbus. 3 Time Magic. Time Magic is so good. Being able to just choose the opponent's battle card, ignoring barrier, and preventing it from restanding, even in the mirror match, is going to be really good. You know, there's a lot of stuff that restands. There's a lot of tricky effects that can restand. You know, just being able to just, okay, you're going to get 1 attack and that's it. I don't want to hear it. I also added in Bardock the Father. You know, it's cute. It's a 15k attacker that comes in for free. As long as you have 3 energy, you can rest one of your opponent's battle cards, play him for free. You know, it's cute. You know, it's that little sneaky, like if I need to get something or just have a chip damage. It also triggers Poutine. I don't have to waste like my super combo or Power of a Super Saiyan. You know, when I have Poutine, you know, it's one of those things where I want to play Bardock and Poutine in the same turn. If you have them in your hand, it just makes more sense for you, you know, for your strategies, right? So 2 coolers. I was juggling 1 and 2 of this guy. I think 2 is the way to go. 2 Unison of Furies. This guy is a house. 3 Might of Resistance. I tried finding an alternative. I tried finding a 1-drop blocker, you know, that I could just throw out there on turn 1. And there's not a lot of options. I feel like Might of the Resistance just does a lot. Yes, he's essentially a 10k combo into play blocker, which is great, but he's also 15k crit pressure that your opponent has to deal with super early. Most of your deck is Saiyans. You're not going to really run into that issue too much of being able to not play a yellow Saiyan. So just the turn you want to do something that's not a yellow Saiyan, get him off the board, block with him, combo with him, do whatever it is that you need to do. This deck is pretty efficient when it comes to energy, so you're going to have some leftover stuff to play with. And then we have our Sin Shenron Secret Rare, self-explanatory. Now, there's a couple of cards that I want to go over, just, you know, for the expansion in particular, but there's one tech card that I want to go over, and I'm going to pop him up on the screen here as I was fishing through the card pool trying to solidify this list. Piccolo Trusted Ally. Okay, so Piccolo Trusted Ally is a 3-drop, 2 specified yellow, 15k battle card. He's got Deflect and Blocker. He did come out in set 13. Basically, his auto states that when this card is played from your hand, you can choose up to 1 yellow Son Gohan Childhood or Son Gohan Future with an energy cost of 2 or less in your deck, or hand, and play it, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So the reason I like this guy is because he plays your Desperate Last Stand 2-drop, or he can play the new Gohan that's coming out in the expansions, Son Gohan Spirit Boost Warrior. Now, obviously the Spirit Boost Warrior you want to use with that mechanic off of the new Unison, but if for some reason you can't get to your Unison because there's really no way of searching it in this particular build, you can go ahead and play that Piccolo. Yeah, it is 3 energy, but it does have deflect, so it's going to hit the board, and it's going to get you a piece that's going to start your chain. So if you go Piccolo into Desperate Last Stand, it's going to give you another blocker defensively, which is going to turn sideways and bring out, you know, the future Trunks, the kid Trunks, that's going to allow you to evolve for free once he's KO'd. On top of that, if you want to bring out your Spirit Boost Vindicator, it gives you another target for 1 energy to go ahead and bring out, you know, your 3-drop future Trunkses. So it's just an interesting card to keep an eye on. I'm not saying it's gonna make the list or it's gonna make, you know, it's gonna make your 50 or 60, you know, once the expansions come out. But it's a card to keep an eye on because we're not exactly sure, or at least I'm not exactly sure, how this deck is going to morph when the expansions come out. We talked about Spirit Boost Vindicator. Let's talk about Piccolo Spirit Boost Defender, which is that new Unison that we're getting. This Unison is very, very good in my opinion for the simple fact that every time you activate, once per turn when you activate Blocker, it gets a marker. So you're not only gaining markers on your turn, he's going to come out with 2. You do have a +1 skill, which is great, but you're going to be gaining markers passively on your opponent's turn, and that's what the deck wants to do anyway. So you're going to have your 2-drop, you're going to have your Unison come into play, you're going to be able to turn on a whole bunch of other stuff, but you're going to have markers, an excess amount of markers to be able to activate your Spirit Boost effect. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not exactly sure where this deck is going. Like, I'm not sure if you're going to keep it just really low to the ground, try to get your Trunks out as soon as possible and just play like good yellow stuff, or if you're going to like lean in super heavily into this archetype and use the Unison in combination with a lot of other cards. I think your curve is going to change slightly if you go that way, but it's going to be something interesting to experiment with when we actually have these cards in our hands. But don't sleep on the Piccolo Unison. He's really good. He does restand any yellow battle card. So it now, in combination with your Sin Shenron Secret Rare, it gives you the option of being able to use Sin offensively. You can play your Unison. You can play Sin for as low as 1 energy in this deck if your drop area matches up. You can go ahead and swing with a 35k beater +1 on your Unison. As soon as your opponent starts his turn, boom, your Sin is now switched to active mode. So it's a nice little combination there. Being able to use Sin as a 35k beater offensively is really, really nice. And then, of course, the last card, which was the last card that got revealed to us, shout out to Joey and Crosswell TCG for doing that opening, is Trunks Spirit Resonance. This card to me is... This card, it's a 50-50 card for me. I like what the card does. I wish it did a little more, if that's okay to say it. But the fact that you can get his effect if you combo with it, I think is really great. So let's look at what this card does, right? He's a 3-drop, 20k deflect blocker. He has evolve 1 yellow over a Trunks future. There's no cost restriction there. He's auto limit 1. If your leader card is mono yellow when this card is played or used in a combo from your hand, you can add up to 1 yellow Son Gohan future with energy cost of 2 or less from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. And then Spirit Boost 2, if you remove 2 markers from a Unison, you can tap 3 yellow energy. When this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, you can choose 1 yellow future Trunks with the cost of 8 from your hand and play it. So it does allow you to, if everything lines up, like if the stars align perfectly, it does allow you to play your 8-drop a turn earlier, which is nice for 2 reasons. Because you're playing it defensively on your opponent's turn. So you're going to be playing an 8-drop, and then you're going to start your turn with 4 energy to do whatever you want with, which is, that's really nice. But it also gives you a secondary, like it's going straight into the 8-drop. Like you don't need to worry about going up a chain. You don't need to worry about, I have to have the 3-drop on board and I got to pay 2 to evolve. No, this guy dies, you use him as a blocker, he dies, you pay 3, boom. there's your 8-drop. So like I said earlier in the video, this deck doesn't really have a turn 3. So now if you have your board established, if you have your unison out and you get this guy out, on turn 1, or whatever, however it works out, right? If you get him out and you have a unison out and he's got markers on him and you pass with 3 energy open, you can go ahead and cheat out your 8-drop and he's going to start wreaking havoc, because again, that 8-drop Trunks is nothing to sneeze at. He's 30 base, he's dual attack, he's double strike, he's got barrier, and he's a blocker, and the leader can give him crit. So he's just keyword soup at this point. It's a very powerful battle card that you can do a lot of shenanigans with. So being able to bring him out earlier is going to be really nice. Now, like I said, I like the fact that you can proc this guy's auto if it's comboed. So if you don't have a turn 1, you can combo with him. You can get your 2-drop. That way next turn, boom, you have your blocker that's going to go ahead and die and bring out the Trunks chain and start the races that way. So I just think it's very interesting to see where this archetype is going to go. I have been experimenting a little bit with the Trunks Unison from set 13. That's another card that I think is quite slept on right now. It's a 3 energy board wipe for yellow, which is really good because yellow doesn't have spot removal. So I think that not only is this deck going to be moving in the right direction because of the support that it's getting in the expansions, I can definitely see, because he's a fan favorite, future Gohan getting more and more support in future sets, especially with Spirit Boost right around the corner. So I know this was a longer video, but I kind of just wanted to get my 2 cents out there. We are going to be streaming locals on Friday this week, so I'm not going to actually upload a video on Friday, but we're going to go ahead and stream our locals on Friday, because normally we do Saturdays, but we're going to be streaming on Friday this week, so you guys have that to look forward to. I'll try to see if I can get some Gohan gameplay on stream for you guys as well. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.